Well, let me give a little bit of heritage because my mother's from South Carolina. She's from a small town about 20 minutes from Camden called Bethune, also near McAfee. So I have heritage in South Carolina. I moved to South Carolina in March 2009, so I've been here about 6 years now as Dean of the School of Business. Love this state. I've always loved this state. Of course, having heritage. I remember as a kid playing a lot in Kershaw County, in Kershaw County Park. So it's a state that I'm privileged to be able to give back. I think that one of the most important things that any leader in academics does is to make a difference in young lives, students' lives. So that's what I get the most gratification from, and that's to make a difference in a lot of lives. I've been able to do that at the dean's level. I'd love to be able to do it at a higher plane at the president's level.
Do you have any experience of like navigating the State House in Columbia?
Absolutely. We had to. I had former House of Representative, or Speaker of the House, I should say, Bobby Harrell on my board. Senator Paul Campbell's on my board. We wanted to get NBA when I first got here, and we had to work some of the political circles to at least get interest in the program. We didn't have to go the legislative route, but I know a lot of the politicians in South Carolina, and they're all on board in helping develop young minds. So maneuvering the political side is a fairly easy thing for me.
On your letter to apply, you talked about like what it makes to have a great college. Can you talk a little bit about that acronym?
Absolutely. So great, GREAT, creating great graduates, great students. I feel like there's 5 ingredients to what a great student that all of our graduates should have. G is globalization. All of the students should have a global mindset. In other words, you have a quality enhancement plan, which is called your QEP, that talks about embedding globalization throughout the entire general education curriculum. So it's part of what you're already doing, the globalization part. But I want to take it to a higher level. I want all students to have an opportunity to globalize their mind, not just in the curriculum, but to study abroad and to learn from professors that have international experience. So globalization is very important, global mindset. The R stands for ready to work graduates. In other words, we need to work very closely with prospective employers in all of the different colleges here at Winthrop University. The closer we work with the business community and the community in general and those that will employ us, the better we're going to be able to prepare our graduates for jobs afterward. And the better we're going to be able to create a curriculum that is very much designed around the needs of the community that might be employing our students. So one thing I would advocate to create the ready to work environment or ready to work graduate, is to make sure that each of the colleges, whether it's the arts and sciences, or education, or business, or visual and performing arts, is to make sure, and University College, is to make sure that we're working close to their prospective employers, right? So that's the ready to work part. The E is entrepreneurial. Our students need to have an open mind, a creative thought, an innovative mind. So it's very important that we keep that liberal arts tradition, which is very entrepreneurial by itself, in front of our students. We don't want our students to think that anything is limited. We want people thinking, and it's true, that if you set your mind to it, you can accomplish it. You just have to figure out how to accomplish it. So that's the E in great. So far we've talked about globalization or global mindset. We've talked about the ability to analyze. We talked about ready to work graduate. E is entrepreneurial. The A is the ability to analyze. So what I'm saying there is not necessarily data crunching. I'm talking about being able to analyze different situations in whatever area you're in. We need to get people thinking in terms of how do I solve for an optimal solution? Again, no matter whether if you're in English, history, political science, or business, or whatever, that people need the ability to analyze. And T, obviously, is technology. Okay, so all of our graduates should have a keen understanding of what technology can do in their world of study. So if we do that, if they have global knowledge, ready to work, entrepreneurial, the ability to analyze, and technologically savvy, you're going to have a heck of a graduate there.
Earlier you were talking to students outside about bringing in more out-of-state students.
Right.
Could you speak a little bit about that and
Sure.
why
Sure.
that's a major initiative?
Right. Right now, Winthrop University has 7% classified as out-of-state, 3% classified as international students. So let's combine them and assume that international students are out-of-state, which they are. So we have 10% of our student body is international. Compare that to Coastal Carolina University. They have 48% of their student body that are non-South Carolina residents. Clemson University has 32% of their students out of state. University of South Carolina has 28% of their student body out of state. College of Charleston has 34% of their students out of state. So here we are at 10%. Do you know that for every 1% of students from out of state that we add to our student body, assuming there's a base of 6,000 students on this campus, for every 1% that we add $1.6 million of revenue to campus. Multiply that by 10, that's $16 million if we were to go from 10% to 20% of our student body being out of state. I'm going to be presenting on Tuesday a more detailed plan about this, but my point is that one of the shortcomings that we have on this campus is that we don't have enough funds to do what we need to do. But I genuinely believe that what we need to do with these funds is to use this out-of-state revenue to create in-state scholarships for students and to create faculty development opportunities for students, for faculty. So we would use some of these funds to help our faculty become the best faculty they can be, and that will benefit the students for sure in the classroom.
But what do you say to students who maybe don't want to have 20% of our population or 30% of our population be out of state? Because I think that's
Right.
something that definitely distinguishes Winthrop from Coastal and College of Charleston and Clemson.
Sure.
We don't want to turn into a big school.
Yeah, and it won't. I mean, the fact is that the university, Winthrop University itself, has a plan in place to increase from 6,000 to 7,000 students by 2019. The plan is, and this isn't one that I came up with, was that 250 students would be added over the next 4 years, or 1,000 students. All I'm saying is that if you're going to add the students anyway, let's make half of them in-state and half of them out-of-state. And let's take that additional revenue that's generated on both sides. And I don't have my notes in front of me, but roughly what that translates into is 500 students out-of-state generates about $13.4 million. The 500 students in-state generates about $6.4 million. You add those together, you're generating another $20 million. How about all those students that can't afford tuition? Suddenly they're getting a chance through scholarships. What about that faculty that wants to go to these conferences to develop their talents and don't have the funds to do that? Who's are we depriving? We're depriving the student from this knowledge that the faculty can give you because they haven't been able to continue to develop the faculty. So keep in mind that whenever I talk about anything that deals with Winthrop University, every equation equals the student. It's all about the student with me. And that's my bullseye. And so to me, decisions that are necessary to be made are easy as long as I keep the student in perspective and they are in the forefront. That's what we always got to do.
Okay. So how do you come into Winthrop and establish stability? Because there's a lot of students like me who've had a different president every single year we've been here. So
Right.
it's kind of,
Right.
how do you bring stability to Winthrop?
Number one, okay, how do you bring stability? Number one is you have a clear vision of where you feel like you can contribute and to take this university. Number two, that's got to be our vision, not my vision. In other words, you've got to engage faculty, staff, students, community, politicians, stakeholders in Winthrop University. Okay, so make them part of the process. Okay, if you make them part of the process, then they're going to take more ownership to it. Right? Again, I want to be sure that I understand your question. But ask it one more time so I can add to that.
How do you bring stability to Winthrop?
Okay. Okay. So more stability. Well, I should hang around here for a while. We should not have a one-year turnover. I can assure you, if I were to come here as president, I would not be a one and done. My plan is to be here for the long haul, and I want to see this university be transformed. I want to see a solid brand of Winthrop University. I want to see, and I want the opportunity to enhance the value of your education. I want to be able to enhance the value of your diploma after you graduate. I want to be sure that the business community and the community at large in Rock Hill is a beneficiary of our workforce development. And really, isn't that what we're doing in the region? We're creating workers for tomorrow. So we have to be part of that workforce development. And we have to make sure that the president is engaged throughout the community of Rock Hill. I can say he because there's only 3 finalists and they're all he's, right? So whoever that next president is has got to understand that there is a lot of needs here. And I know that because I've been talking to a lot of different constituents today. And the fact is that you need a very external president. You need one that's going to be out in the business community. You're going to need one that's out in Columbia. You're going to need one also that is engaged on campus. It's not an easy job to do, but I'm sure that all 3 candidates are ready and able to do that. I can speak only for myself that I love challenges like that. And to me, number one is you've got to have that clear vision of how you're going to, and clear strategic plan of how you're going to get things done. And if you do that, the others follow.
Could you talk a bit about your commitment to transparency and how
Very
that would
important.
play out?
Right, transparency. I'm not going to do anything that is not going to be public knowledge. I don't believe in making decisions and then telling everybody all about them. I believe in engaging people in those decisions. Again, engaging stakeholders. And if they're in part of the process, we're transparent.